the world's most powerful army. Defeated by one man.
Winter or summer, we're going over the Alps.
We fight for life!
Raised to conquer.
I'll have my revenge on Rome.
Destined to become a legend of war.
We will be together again.
Hannibal, tomorrow at 8:30 on BBC One.
Well, after that thrilling cup final, we're running later than planned here on BBC One. Strictly Dance Fever will now be at 6:20 and Doctor Who at 7:20. Now, the news with Jane Hill.
University students may not be able to graduate this summer because of a pay dispute. Unions say some lecturers won't set exams until salary demands are met. The husband of the special constable murdered in London speaks of her pride in her job. Liverpool win a thrilling FA Cup final in Cardiff. And at Hampden, brave Gretna push Hearts to the limit. Hello, good evening. Unions are warning that thousands of university students may not be able to graduate this summer because of industrial action by their lecturers. Academics are refusing to mark exams in universities across the UK unless their demands are met for a 25% pay increase. Sophie Hutchinson reports.
It's a particularly testing time for university students. Thousands have had their exams postponed because of industrial action. Academics from 2 unions are refusing to assess work unless they get the right pay offer.
An offer is on the table, 12.6% pay offer on the table. For the unions not to put that to their members would be incredible. I will certainly not be interfering.
Lecturers' unions, however, are adamant it's not enough. They insist it must be a rise of 25% to make up for declining earnings over the past 20 years.
They've underestimated, I think, the deep-seated distress that has been taking place for years now in universities as our staff have progressively seen their pay go down and down and down. What you're seeing now is an explosion of frustration which has to be resolved.
And resolved for the students at Birmingham, Aberystwyth, Strathclyde and London universities who are amongst those facing exam delays. But that's not their only worry.
What concerns students most is that teachers are threatening not to mark exam papers, and those in their final year are wondering whether they'll actually be able to graduate this summer.
These students at Leeds University have already been warned that some of their lecturers may refuse to mark their final exams.
The worst case scenario for us is that we might not get the degree that we expect, and for students of other universities they might not get a degree at all, and that could obviously have a huge impact on their future job prospects.
But universities are stressing contingency plans are in place to avert widespread chaos, and that it's still only a small percentage of lecturers taking action. Sophie Hutchinson, BBC News.
The husband of the special constable who was murdered outside her home in North London says she was proud to wear her uniform. But Fadi Nasri admits he had worries about his wife Nisha's safety. Daniela Relf is outside their home in Wembley. Daniela, what's the family been saying today?
Well, a steady stream of family and friends have been to the house here today to lay flowers, and they have included Nisha Patel Nasri's husband, Fadi. Now, he didn't speak to reporters when he left the house, but he did issue a statement through the Metropolitan Police in which he spoke about his love for his wife. He said that they had got married 3 years ago, and he revealed that their wedding anniversary had been on May the 11th, which meant they'd been celebrating that anniversary on the day Mrs. Patel Nasri lost her life. Detectives have also added some details to their appeal for witnesses. They now want to trace a young couple who walked past the house here on Thursday night. Now, they believe the pair saw a man fleeing, running from the murder scene, and the police want to talk to that couple urgently.
Daniela Relf, thank you. A man has been remanded in custody, charged with causing the death by dangerous driving of a grandmother in South Shields. Pamela Finn was struck by a car as she was walking with her 2 grandchildren and her daughter-in-law. Paul Wales from Liverpool is also charged with robbery and criminal damage. Ministers say they may have to change the law to ensure that the protection of the public is put before the human rights of criminals. The Lord Chancellor, Lord Faulkner, says there's real concern about the way the Human Rights Act is operating following a string of high-profile cases. Barney Chowdhury reports.
Anthony Rice was a serial sex attacker sentenced to life, but 16 years later he was released, and 9 months after that he strangled a single mother, Naomi Bryant, before stabbing her to death. His release sparked outrage in some sections of the press, leading to criticism that the rights of criminals were being put before public safety. Now the Lord Chancellor says human rights laws may need to be looked at again.
We need to make sure that a human rights culture that may be developing doesn't lead to the wrong results being reached on issues such as public safety. Public safety has always got to come first.
And lawyers for 9 Afghan men who hijacked a plane to Britain 6 years ago used the Human Rights Act to argue successfully they should remain here, a decision that angered the government and one it's appealing against. And one senior lawyer agrees the law isn't working.
The problem with it comes when you try and define these rights more closely, because you find they conflict with each other, or they conflict with other considerations like the security of the country.
Security is now one of the government's top priorities, but how far can it go to keep us safe while protecting our human rights? Barney Chowdhury, BBC News.
Now, news of high drama in the FA Cup and the Scottish Cup finals. All the details from Mary Rhodes.
Thanks very much indeed, Jane. Yes, it was the most memorable FA Cup final in years. It had everything: 6 goals in the 90 minutes, extra time and penalties. In the end, Liverpool were crowned champions for the 7th time, beating West Ham 3-1 on penalties. From the Millennium Stadium in Cardiff, here's Kevin Geary.
Cardiff will miss the FA Cup final, financially at least, and football will miss Cardiff. The city has made a huge success of allowing rival fans to share a unique experience. Less than half an hour after the start today, it was West Ham's followers who were savouring it most, courtesy of 2 uncharacteristic Liverpool blunders. First, Alonso's sloppy pass led to Dean Ashton astutely releasing Scaloni, and Jamie Carragher's tangled feet did the rest. Then, 7 minutes later, Etherington's weak shot was inexplicably fumbled by Reina, and Ashton accepted the gift. Almost immediately, Liverpool struck back to ensure this was to be one of the most memorable finals. Gerrard's wonderful pass getting the finish it merited from Djibril Cissé. The second half brought no let-up, and it was only 8 minutes old when Peter Crouch's beanpole figure got the ball down to Steven Gerrard, whose volley was emphatic. On such occasions, the extraordinary tends to become the norm, and so it proved. Konchesky mishit his cross and watched in glee as it sailed in to put West Ham 3-2 up. But then, in stoppage time, Gerrard, who could barely run, produced the astounding. In the end, it all came down to penalties, and when Pepe Reina pulled off his 3rd save, Liverpool prevailed.
This will go down as one of the greatest cup finals, but you have to feel sorry for West Ham, who contributed so wonderfully to it. Nevertheless, it's Liverpool who win the trophy for the 7th time. Kevin Geary, BBC News, Cardiff.
Well, the Scottish Cup final was equally dramatic. It also went to penalties. Second division side Gretna came from behind to draw 1-1 with Hearts to take the match into extra time. But in the end, it was the Premier League side who kept their cool. Andy Castle reports.
4 years ago, Gretna were playing non-league football. Today, they were competing in front of 50,000 people for one of the top honours in Scottish sport. In the crowd, Gretna's owner, Brooks Milson, whose fortune has underpinned their success. For a while, however, it looked as though Gretna would be swept aside. A Davidas Chesnowski's shot came close before Gretna's Alan Main came between Roman Bednar and the opener. When a long throw-in found Rudy Scatchell at the far post, it looked as though Hearts were on their way. But that reckoned without Gretna's second-half revival. David Graham's blushes in missing one of the best chances of the match was spared 6 minutes later when John O'Neill went down in the box. Ryan McGuffey converted the spot kick second time around, and the dream was still alive. And it remained alive until the penalty shootout. Gretna had already missed one when Mikael Pospisil brought Hearts to the verge of victory. A victory sealed when Gavin Skelton fluffed his effort for Gretna. For Gretna fans whose team had done so well today, there is at least the compensation of European football next season. But this was one fairy tale with a grim ending. Andrew Castle, BBC News, Hampden.
Well, England's cricketers remain in control of the first test against Sri Lanka at Lords. The tourists started the third day on 91 for 6, but were all out for 192. Matthew Hoggard claimed 2 of the remaining wickets, becoming only the 10th England bowler to reach 200 test wickets. Sri Lanka were forced to follow on, but they've made a better start to their second innings. They're 174 for 2. That's 185 runs behind. That's all the sport for now. We'll be back with more later. Jane.
Thanks very much, Mary. And, of course, you can see the latest on all today's stories over on BBC News 24, including more on the police investigation into the murder of Special Constable Nisha Patel Nasri. But that is it from Mary and me for now. We'll be back with the latest here on BBC One at the slightly later time, of course. 10:05 will be on this evening. But now it's time to join our news teams wherever you are.
Good evening from BBC London News. I'm Mike Ramsden. So, bitter disappointment for West Ham after they lost on penalties in this afternoon's FA Cup final. But it could all have been so different.
Sheringham, of course. Oh, and somebody's missed it! Is it the post? Here was Mr. Great Chance to win it!
That was the chance that almost brought the Hammers victory in the last 2 minutes of extra time, but in the end it came down to penalties and Liverpool won. So, West Ham fans have been drowning their sorrows after they came so close to taking the FA Cup for the first time in 26 years.
We had it in the bag. I think we threw it away there, at the end. Great goal by Gerrard, but gutted, absolutely distraught, to be honest.
The West Ham lost today. I think they deserved to win. Went to penalties. It's just really sad. They should have won. Just gutted, really.
Other news now, part of East London was brought to a standstill today when a crane caught fire near the Blackwall Tunnel. Both carriageways were shut while firefighters tackled the blaze. It started on the south side of the tunnel just after 11 o'clock this morning. No one was hurt. Scientists at University College Hospital in London are the first in the country to use genetic screening to check a mother with cancer has not passed it on to her baby. The woman, whose name isn't being released, has used IVF to make sure her child won't inherit retinoblastoma, cancer of the eye. Londoners have been telling politicians what they think of the capital. 3,000 Londoners registered to go along to the annual State of London conference. It's an opportunity for them to raise the issues that concern them most.
I think transport and public transport development is something that matters to me.
The issue of transport, well, they want people not to take car into the city of London. It's good, but why are they increasing the fare time and time again every year?
The transport environment, same as anywhere else?
Education. That's the main thing for me personally, I would say, having a child.
7 big investment firms have signed a letter saying they won't allow animal rights extremists to bully them into selling shares in medical research companies. They've expressed support for people who've received threats after investing in the drugs company GlaxoSmithKline, based in Greenford in Middlesex. Sunbeds and children do not mix, the message from a group of MPs and health campaigners. They're calling for the law to be tightened to force coin-operated salons to employ staff so that children under 16 can be stopped from using the facilities.
Anecdotally, we're hearing that younger and younger children are using them, and this is very concerning. Some beds emit UV radiation just like the sun, and in some cases more intensely than the sun. And this, we know, can lead to skin cancer in later life. It's particularly important for children to avoid using sunbeds because damage accumulates over many years.
Auditions took place today for the role of Sheep in a stage version of the film Babe. The story of the pig that thinks it's a sheepdog is coming to the open-air theatre in Regent's Park this summer.
The challenge, to act like a flock of sheep. The motivation, a part in Babe, the sheep pig. Adverts went in local papers a few weeks ago with the hope of finding raw talent that's not been to stage school.
Some of them will be children who go to, say, dancing classes on a Saturday morning. But none of them are professionals, and the point is they're going to join the professional cast. There are 10 people in the cast who are the professional actors, and there are 8 children, so it means that we have a nice lot of people on stage, which is good for me, I can tell you.
After 2 hours of auditioning, the final few were selected.
It's my first ever audition that I've done, and I'm really pleased that I've got through.
Getting here and just coming every rehearsal, and it'll be tiring, but I'm up for it.
Rehearsals start soon. Performances will keep them busy through the whole of August.
Back to football, and Wycombe Wanderers take on Cheltenham in the playoff semi-finals at the Causeway Stadium in the next few minutes. The start of the match was delayed because of traffic jams in the area. And in rugby's Engage Super League, it ended Harlequins 16, Bradford 58. Now the weather. Tonight there'll be showers, some of them thundery, but they should die away as the night goes on. The low tonight, 9 degrees Celsius. Tomorrow will be cloudy for the most part, but it should stay dry. There could be some sunny spells by the afternoon. Top temperature 17 degrees. More news from us at 8:20 tomorrow evening. From us all here, goodbye for now.
Get the headlines every 15 minutes on BBC News 24.
BBC News, whenever you need to know.
Hello there. There's been quite a contrast in temperatures across Britain today, and that's helped to ignite some thunderstorms that'll rumble through the evening hours. They'll die out tonight, and it'll more than likely just be a cloudy night, a dry night. But the thunderstorm was quite strong as they moved their way from parts of Wales down to the southeast through London towards Kent. Eventually gone. Cloud elsewhere, but clearer skies in Scotland could allow a touch of frost here, down to 1. Whereas further south with the clouds 7 to 12. Notice some blue, some patchy rain working into parts of Northern Ireland and into western Scotland and the rest of northern Britain for the day. Whereas further south in the mild air, we brighten up the skies. Not a bad afternoon, but it is the umbrellas in hand from Belfast to Glasgow 11. And even Aberdeen, quite a cool 8 with the wet weather and the rain getting to, say, Newcastle into the afternoon, 13 here. Manchester probably just on the southern edge of it, the same sort of thing in the Midlands. And notice we start seeing some brighter skies, some holes in the cloud even towards parts of East Anglia, Norwich at 14. That as well could set off the odd shower here and there across the southern parts of the UK. Down towards the southwest, yes, some cloud, but also some brighter skies, 17 perhaps for Plymouth, and maybe seeing about 18 or so for Cardiff, with some cloud, but also some breaks in the cloud. Notice just the beginnings of some of that patchy rain working into northern western parts of Wales. Grab the umbrellas Monday, quite a weather system working through, staying cool to the north and 10, 21 and milder further south, and staying cool as well further north for the next couple of days, unsettled with some weather systems working through, whereas further south it's milder, but keep that umbrella handy. That's the weather for now.
Next here on BBC One, Strictly Dance Fever. He's the boss, Bruce Springsteen's Hold On Song, a special concert from London, tonight at 9 on Radio 2.
This year, for Sport Relief, we'd like you to do 16 million miles. But it couldn't be easier. Because we're asking everyone in the UK to do just 1 mile each. That's all of you. Enter the Sport Relief Mile at bbc.co.uk/sportrelief or call 0845 605 8000 for an entry kit. Raise money and help make the world miles better.
Enjoy the Eurovision Song Contest next Saturday, and to get you in the mood for the big night, celebrate 50 years of it on Tuesday on both Radio 2 and here on BBC One. And the semi-final, which should be a treat, is on BBC 3, Thursday night at 8. The legendary Cybermen are back to haunt Doctor Who at the new time of 7:20. Now on BBC One, later than planned, let's start.